I alluded to this earlier, but Jason Lloyd on Thursday, and he had been texting us and even tweeted about it. He even wrote an article on it, and Jason never writes articles anymore. So when Jason writes, you know he's serious about this. He said, I wanted to see DG, Mitchell, and Merrill play together because of the spacing it'll open up and create for the rest of their drivers. And in Game 3, we actually saw that lineup for a little bit. They came into the game with about 6 minutes left in the third quarter. 4 minutes left in the third quarter, and then exited with about 6 minutes left in the fourth. During that stretch, the Cavs turned a 17-point deficit into a 10-point deficit, and that group shot 10 of 17 from the floor. The spacing, and Steve, you could play this video now. I'm not going to break it down. You can just watch. These are all the shot attempts the group got during this five-man lineup. There's some makes, there's some misses in here. But for the most part, the spacing was something we hadn't seen. And as Donovan, Caris, and DG hunted out switches against Al Horford, the Celtics had a much more difficult time trying to rotate and help because you had four shooters on the court. We've talked about the two big lineups. We've talked about the need for spacing, especially against a team like Boston. But whether it's Merrill, whether it's Dean Wade, whether it's Strus, whoever makes shots tonight, do you think we see JB go to more legitimate four shooting lineups?
If we don't by halftime, we need a new coach in the second half.
Fair enough. Earl G, what do you think? Is four shooters today the way to go?
I echo everything Jay just said. If he doesn't, then we need a new coach. If you look at the box score, and first of all, I hate going to the box score because the box score really don't show shit.
It's a piece of the puzzle, but it can't be.
If you look at the 3-point disparity, right?
Right.
Everything was similar. I think they out-rebounded us by 9. They out-assisted us by 5. So everything in the box score would tell you that the Cavs were right there in this game, but yet somehow, some way, they still lost by 13 points. You started this way. Last time I said this, they went crazy. I'm going to say it again. Mike, not only would I deploy that lineup more, but another adjustment that I would consider making is I will move Donovan Mitchell to point guard. I will start Caris LeVert at 2 guard. I will bring Darius Garland off the bench to spell Donovan Mitchell. I think at this point, man, you have to go against whatever grain that you have put on this team all year and at least just try something new, right? He tried something new right there with that lineup for the course of 7 minutes throughout that game. The Cavs was able to get the deficit down. The problem is when you down 17, how hard is that other team playing versus how hard you're playing at said time?
I know.
So I think that you need to kind of deploy that particular lineup a little earlier when the game is close. To see. But at this point, man, I would at least have to try something else. Now, here's the crazy part about it. With Donovan Mitchell possibly missing this game, you might see DG at point guard and Caris LeVert at the 2, but I would flip that. I would probably put Caris on ball and get DG off ball. The problem is I'm not sure how DG is when he's off the ball. But I think that there's a few things that JB Bickerstaff needs to at least throw out there this game and see if it sticks. And if it don't, go back to whatever it is you've been doing because whatever. You just got to try something different. You have to.
Yeah. It reminded me of, without Jarrett Allen, it reminded me of the lineup that went 18-2. They had 4 shooters, and they were 4 out and 1 in. And I wonder if Jarrett Allen is healthy tonight, if there's more of a likelihood, Mike, to go to that lineup.
I would hope so.
I mean,
I think
it works.
They have to space the floor. Dean Wade's healthy. He played in Game 3 for the first time. And whether you could kind of mix and match, Okoro played the lowest minutes he's played in this series in Game 3.
Yeah.
He was 1 of 7. He wasn't hitting shots. I think JB realizes the Cavs need the spacing to maximize the switches.
Absolutely.
And they also need the spacing because threes add up, and if they're not making threes with Boston, it's going to be tough for them to make enough twos because they just don't have a real post presence yet.
See, the problem you have is, this goes back to roster construction, right? There's only a certain amount of pieces and shapes and skill sets that you have on a team. So, yes, you want to spread the floor, but an unintended consequence of that is, guess what? You're going to get beat on the boards. And if you look at it, Drew Holiday was down there like a baby Shaq. I don't understand it. Drew Holiday was Shaq with braids the other day, and Jason Tatum walking to the rim. Like, we couldn't get rebounds. Even as the possessions in which we get stops, we could not. That's crazy. 8 rebounds for Drew Holiday. 13 rebounds for Jason Tatum. This is crazy. Like, they're killing you on the boards because when you look at the Celtics and how they're built, They got long, lanky, athletic guys. We have shorter, not really average. I would say we're average athletically, but you're gonna sacrifice something for the other. You get shooting, but now you got Sam Merrill on the pick and roll, right? You got a little bit of you do get a little more offense with Caris LeVert, but he's Jason Tatum is giving him work underneath. So it's tough with this team, and that's why I say we can't overlook this. Yes, we want them to win. Yes, we could talk about the X's and O's and JB. It's a lot that left to be desired. But we have to talk about the fact that the Cleveland Cavaliers have the worst roster of all the remaining teams. Out of all the remaining teams, and these are the teams that you're going to deal with. These guys aren't going to fall and die or get old all of a sudden. These are the teams that you're going to have to beat in order to win a championship. And if you want to say championship, two things have to happen. Either your guys are going to have a tremendous jump, and I think it's all she wrote for Darius Garland. That year he had, we might need to be talking about that as an outlier too, because he wasn't doing that when Colin Sexton was here. Any other guard in the backcourt, he has not performed well. Colin Sexton, he didn't perform well. You take a look at when Colin was injured that year, and Darius had the ball. Darius was an all-star. Sometimes people is better. Sometimes people can get their money off and be an all-star on a mediocre team. It is what it is. Somebody got to score the points.
Sure. There was a tweet. Someone put it in our group. I don't know if you prepared it, but it was hilarious about Caris LeVert.
I'll send it to you. Hold on one second. We'll put it in here. But that was the funniest tweet I've seen.
It was crazy. It was absolutely dead on. Don't you hate when you read something and you're like, damn, why didn't I think of that?
Right.
Because it's so obvious.
Who said that, Jason?
It resonated with everybody. No, the guy that tweeted it.
No, it was someone I hadn't heard of.
No, it's ISO Spida. ISO Spida. And he's got a Donovan Mitchell. Maybe it's Mitchell's burner account.
It might be.
But it says, I think Caris LeVert has a wheel in his head with a collection of random NBA players. Anywhere from Michael Jordan to Anthony Bennett. He spins it every possession to see who he's going to play like.
But man,
that is absolutely positively true.
He can get you 50, then he can come out here and get you 2. Like, it depends on what day it is. But here's the thing, like, with Caris LeVert, why I think he's the biggest X factor. One, like, he has the playoff experience, right? Like, he's been around the block. He knows what it is. I think he was the third highest scorer for the Cavaliers against the Boston Celtics during the regular season at like 15-6 games or something like that. He's supposed to be a dude that's a shot creator that can go get his own bucket, and he's a dude that's a little longer and can play some defense. And so that's why
wildly athletic.
That's why I'm not opposed to starting him over DG. And I get what Mike says, man. Like, when it comes to offensive like output, it's kind of like pick your poison with these two dudes per day, because either one of them has shown that they can be consistent scoring the basketball. But again, you have to get creative. You can't just keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result. He's longer. He has more experience. He can play defense. He can go get you 50, but he can also get you 2, be 0 for 7 from three-pointers, play 23 meaningless minutes as well.
I play him over Strus. I would not have Max Strus in the starting lineup. I would not do it. He's not giving you anything. If he can't shoot, I'm going to go with Caris LeVert, because at least I know Caris can get guys involved. He can be a facilitator. He's athletic. He may get to the rim. I can't start Max Strus, and we all know they're not going to start Darius. They're going to start Darius Garland.
Yeah, they're not going to do it.
You know why they're going to? Because if you hear JB talk about Darius, particularly after he plays well, he almost always says the quiet part out loud. He says, we've all been trying to pick Darius up. It was good to see him come out and play tonight like we all know he can play. That tells me we're dealing with the psyche that's very fragile, and that JB knows that, and he's got to treat him with kid gloves. Kid gloves gets you knocked out of the first round.
And it gets your coach fired.
It will get you knocked out of the second round. It will get you fired. If you have come to the conclusion that the best version of your team is with Darius Garland on the bench for stretches and filling in for Donovan as a backup, and you don't do that, don't bitch when you get fired. If I'm going down my way.
Yep.
I'm not going down any other way. And the thing of it is, we saw for a long stretch that it works. They can win without him. This team can win without him. And I don't want to disparage. It makes it sound like I'm saying he's garbage. He's not.
Right.
He's not the right fit for this roster. He's not. He could be an all-star on a mediocre team. He will never be the reason a team wins an NBA title. Ever.
His game is not predicated to that. If you just watch
And
his
that's
game,
okay, too.
Right.
It's okay. But if you want a dog, you're not getting one. And has anybody ever heard JB angry in a post-game news conference after a blowout loss?
No.
Yeah, he stormed out. Or were you there the one day when he stormed out? I forget who asked the question, but he got very mad.
On his anger level of
Oh,
1
wait,
to
but Mike,
10.
wait, hold on. That was pregame though. That was pregame.
Pregame?
Yeah, that was pregame.
So he mad
He was
before the
asked
game.
about.
His post-game news conferences, they lose by 30. He's got the box score in his hand. He's like, I was really happy with the way we
Yeah,
moved the ball
Stefanski
around.
does that, though. I mean, it's...
No.
No, not like that. Stefanski will call will
I
say
don't know.
things.
I gotta watch the tape. Stefanski ain't never gonna say after a loss, I was happy with the way we moved the ball. You got beat by 40.
He
Well,
will
no, the
say
word's
we've got to
different.
do.
The
We got
word, the demeanor.
But you know
The
what? Okay,
demeanor.
I'll even give you that. They are kind of very similar in that. You know what I want, and I know that this doesn't always work. Tony Dungy won a Super Bowl, and it took Peyton Manning to get him over that hump. For years, he had an all-time great defense in Tampa, and he couldn't get him over the hump. They brought in John Gruden. They won the Super Bowl. What was Gruden all about? Fire and brimstone, man. If you didn't do your job, and trust me, I covered that team every day. If you did not do your job, whether your number was 99, 55, or 12, you were talked to in front of everybody, and you were talked about to the media. Now, I know that doesn't work for everybody, and it does have to be your personality. But when I watch JB's postgame news conferences, after a blowout at home that now lost control of the series, he's going, I was really, really pleased with the way we moved the ball in the first quarter for 4 minutes. That was really nice there. And, and now I'm not happy with the three-pointing shooting, so we've got to do better there, and we will. I just forget the notes, sit in front of the TV cameras, sit down, and be silent for 30 seconds. Don't say a word. Because you know how these post games start. The coach sits down and makes his opening salvo, and then the questions come.
Yeah.
Wait, let the media sit there and look at you and wonder, whoa, where's he going with this? And if somebody starts to ask a question, just put your hand up and say, hold on. And then sit there and let your anger marinate for about 20 seconds. So the fans can feel like you feel their pain too. And then after 20 seconds, you look into the camera and you look at the reporters and say, what we just put out on the floor that our fans paid good money for and invested 2.5 hours of their Mother's Day weekend for is absolutely unacceptable. Not acceptable. And I've never heard that from JB, ever. When I watch him, I don't know. Did they win or did they lose? I don't know.
You're not gonna get that. You're not gonna get that.
Right.
You just like that. That's the difference between, because here's the thing. It's the difference between teams that really, really, really want to win at all costs and other teams. Because I saw Frank Vogel get fired. I saw Budenholzer get fired. I done seen the Bucks fire the coach in the middle of the season. There's times where you got to hold these guys accountable. But now today, people think that if I'm really nice with everybody and I'm nice with these guys, that somehow, that's going to get through.
Where did nice guys finish?
Last. I mean, but look at the roster, right? You got two dudes, and I know I'm going to go somewhere else with this, but you got two dudes on this roster that's 33, 34. So you got two 80s babies on this team. Rest of these dudes, man, like they born between 96 and 2000. Like, it's the generation that we dealing with. You can't come to them man to man and constructively criticize them without them getting in their
You got to do it
feelings.
in a tweet.
Yeah, so like I can understand, I guess, to that point when you understand, like, from a player-to-player standpoint of everybody that's on this roster, that maybe he can't take that approach. But sometimes going against your own grain, like we're talking about with these adjustments, maybe if you go against your own grain of how you go about talking about or critiquing these players, maybe that'll get more out of them. I just feel like at this point, man, you got to try something different than what you've been doing. And that's JB Bickerstaff, like when it comes to post and pregame comments, that's JB Bickerstaff when it comes to roster adjustments as well. So
Let's make our picks for tonight's game, then we'll move on, talk a little Browns. Earl, we'll start with you and with Jay. Who wins tonight, and what's the final score?
don't know who the final score is, but I think if Donovan Mitchell don't play, the Cavs lose. I think if Donovan Mitchell does play, I think the Cavs lose. I don't think nobody else.
Oh, no matter what.
I don't think nobody else on this team. I'm hoping something different, but like you said, what I hope and what I think is two different things.
Yeah.
I don't think nobody else is going to show up and give him 25 plus.
You said if Mitchell plays, they lose.
No, I said if he doesn't play, they lose. I think if he plays, they still lose for the simple fact nobody else.
I just want to make sure that's what you meant to say.
Nobody else.
They're
is gonna
losing
step
no
up.
matter what tonight.
Somebody else needs to step up and give him at least 25 plus.
That's fair. Who goes next?
G?
You want me to go?
Listen, yeah, I don't. They ain't got enough. Darius Garland has not showed up. Evan Mobley's playing decent. You know what I'm saying? But once again, step your game up. I'm watching DiVincenzo, all the rest of these guys get 30, 40 points, shooting threes. It's at two different levels. I wish the Cavs would win. I wish they had a level of intensity and come out and get it done. I think the game is close in the beginning. I think the Celtics keep it close enough and they pull it away in the fourth quarter with some big shots. I got the Celtics winning game 4, 108 to 97.
All right. I'm going to pick them to lose. Here's how they can win. Mitchell has to play. Allen has to play. We have to see more of the 4 in and 1 or 4 out, 1 in. And they can win. I don't want to sit here and say they can't win. They can't win if Mitchell doesn't play. They can't win if Allen doesn't play. I'll say that. And if they both play, I feel they can win. But we've got to see more of the lineup that we saw in the third quarter and the one that helped them go 18-2 and not the one that led them to 13-18.
Awesome. We're going to move on and talk a little Browns here,
Well,
guys.
you got to give a pick.
Oh, I think the Celtics win tonight. The Cavs can win. They just got to keep hunting the Horford mismatch. And Boston was content switching that every time.
Yeah.
And if they're going to switch, you just have to make them pay. I thought
They will if they win.
They're going to switch everything.
They will have shown me a tremendous amount if they come back and can win game 4 with the way they played in 3. If they win in 4, I'll give them credit for it. But
I will say this, and then we will move on. But every time the Cavs have their back against the wall this postseason, they have come out. Games 5 against Orlando, just lost 2 on the road. All the momentum's in the Magic favor. They came out. Mobley is the game-winning block. Game 7, push comes to shove, down 12, win that game by 18, 30-point swing. Game 2 in Boston. Can't go down 0-2 to the Celtics. It's a wrap. Found a way to win. So when they have needed to play their best games this postseason, they have found a way to come through. We'll see if they can do it tonight.